So, my old mate built himself a Kolb Mk2 ultralight. After the meticulous build and all the engineers sign off, it was finally ready for test flying. And so it was left up to Jack Flyer to see if she flies. So I was lucky enough to have an endless paddock at my disposal to do all my long taxi runs, do a few bunny hops to see how she felt. So after a series of flights in ground effect, I got her up to about 20-30 feet just to really feel what she was doing, and yeah, she required a few tweaks, so she was brought back to the hangar where the engine offset was reset just to counter that bit of engine torque. So she was taken back out after some adjustments, and I took to the air, did a few circuits, and the plane proved beautiful. So she was packed up, put on a trailer, and I brought her the 800 kilometres back home to my home strip. So now it was just a matter of knocking off the 25 hours for test flying, and in them hours I'll be doing a series of tests, stall tests, getting the numbers, and just an all-round test of its capabilities. So the Rotax 503, she had plenty of power to get her off the deck pretty quick. Now, basically, I rotated this thing at about 35 knots. It had quite a nice cruise. It would cruise around easy enough at 60 knots. Now, I'm only a little fella at 5'6", and I required quite the cushioning to reach the pedals in this machine because, quite surprisingly, it's built for giants. You need to be like 6'5" just to sit quite comfortably in it. The actual stall on this aircraft was really benign. It just seemed it didn't drop a wing or anything, no flutter, just kind of started mushing, like sinking, quite a high angle of attack. That occurred at around 25 knots. Now, with that said, I would say this aircraft is quite safe, you know, for the newbie. She'd happily fly hands off, do everything you asked of her, and I must admit, I was getting quite attached to this little aircraft. So I should mention, my old mate had actually sold this aircraft, and the new owner had actually just asked me to do all the test flying. Now, to be honest, it was a bit of an agreement that I'll be compensated. I was risking my life and everything. However, that so-called friend would eventually come and take his beautiful aircraft away, and I would never be compensated, so be careful who you trust out there. Anyway, the approach was made down at 35 knots, so that was basically 10 knots above the stall, which is what I work on, 5 knots above the stall, and an extra 5 knots for safety. So, I'll be honest, I really did like this plane. She was actually really beautiful. She kind of just about everything you could ask for. Cruise at 60 knots. Now a stall of 25 knots. You could pretty much get this thing in and out of anywhere. And I was really enjoying testing this plane. So that's a good look at the dash there. It being a 2-seat aircraft, at this stage you couldn't actually put a passenger in the other seat until the required hours, test flight hours, were completed. Now you can kind of see just how quickly this thing gets airborne. I would definitely call this a STOL aircraft. I think we measured at around 50 metres. So eventually I'd start doing a few cross-country flights. The first kind of cross-country flight I did, I flew out to my mate Bulldogs. Now he'd just put in a new strip, so I went out there to see how this little thing landed. Unfortunately I don't have any footage, but yeah, she just went beautiful. She really was a beautiful little plane. You can see it has no problems coming in through the Dragon's Nest end of my runway. Now this did have kind of a weird joystick. It had a centre joystick, but it was only about 6 to 8 inches long, and it kind of bent in the middle, so it was hinged in the middle, and that was for your elevator. And you had your standard, you know, aileron left and right. Just that join halfway up for the elevator, yeah, it's kind of odd. But it didn't take very long to get used to that. The plane handled absolutely beautiful. It was quite sensitive on the stick. The roll rate was good. So just coming in for my first attempt at a touch and go. Now this plane did handle beautiful on the ground as well. Now it had absolutely no tendencies to ground loop whatsoever. You know, you could wheel it as you just seen. You could 3-point it. It really didn't matter. She just tracked true and straight. Beautiful. So anyway, after I knocked off all the test hours of this aircraft, the new owner came and flew it away, never to be seen again. But yeah, I definitely recommend this aircraft. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed my time in this plane. See how easy it is. It lands itself. She was beautiful.